Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, with today being Tuesday, I'm going to officially give this a title of Double Dip Tuesday because I've got another episode that I don't know whether or not at the time I'm recording this, if I'm going to release that one first or if I'm going to release this one first. I'm kind of still making that decision as I'm recording this. But I will say this, based upon the post that I put out yesterday, you're definitely going to know which one's which once it comes out because trust me, the difference between this episode versus the other episode is going to be extremely apparent as far as not only the breadth, but also the scope and also how I am on camera. But the reason why I wanted to make this episode is because, again, if there's one thing us Lions fans, we all particularly enjoy, we love it when our rivals don't get what they want. We love it when our rivals are left kind of in a position of, oh man, well, we didn't see that one coming. We didn't get exactly what we were looking for here. And the reason I'm saying that is because, as I stated yesterday in a video that I released, and some of you may still be watching it, some of you might have already moved past it, whatever the case might be, but the point of the matter is I released an episode yesterday where I was talking about the fact that the Green Bay Packers are and have now officially released their former All-Pro cornerback, Jaire Alexander. He's now no longer with the Green Bay Packers. He is now officially a free agent. Well, as I stated in that episode, if there's one thing that all Lions fans can mostly agree upon, it is that the two most hated rivals that we have are unequivocally the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. And if we think about it, for the longest time, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be, okay, Packers were number one and then the Bears were number two. But now it's kind of like almost a toss-up between the two. It's kind of like a 1A, 1B kind of scenario, depending upon who you are. And the reason why that's the case is because, well, number one, the guy that made us absolutely detest the Packers more than anything else, Aaron Rodgers, well, he's no longer there. But what changed it to where now, okay, the Packers kind of dropped off and the Bears kind of shot up was when, oh, that's right, the Bears brought in trader Ben Johnson to be their new head coach. And as we've pretty much seen the entirety of this offseason, Ben Johnson is doing his absolute damnedest to freaking copycat the Lions almost down to a freaking literal T. So it's like, okay, like depending upon what side of the spectrum you're on, it could be the Bears are number one and the Packers are number 1B or vice versa. It just is one of those things. But as I'm stating with this title, and how, once again, us Lions fans get the ability to laugh and be amused at how one of our rivals is pretty much left with an empty bag. Pretty much what happened is that with the Packers yesterday releasing Jaire Alexander, the Bears then followed that up later in the exact same day with news of their own that, I'm going to be honest, when I saw it, I absolutely laughed my butt off because I was like, oh, this is just delicious. This is just absolutely rich. I'm getting two for the price of one in the same week, and actually in the same day. Because what happened late yesterday was the news came out that free agent running back Nick Chubb is actually going to sign a one-year deal for the 2025 season to play with the Houston Texans. This news is both embarrassing and bad for the Bears for a couple of reasons. Number one, the reason why that's the case is because, well, let's call for what it is. It was no secret that the Bears all offseason, they have been trying to upgrade their running back position for their offense. And it was widely known, widely reported that the Bears' number one option, the guy that they wanted the absolute most in the draft, was running back Ashton Jeanty. They were everyone pretty much knew that if Jeanty was on the board when the Bears were on the clock, he was going to be a Chicago Bear. But, as fate would have it, the Raiders did us Lions fans an immense amount of fun and amusement that night when, the Raiders at number 6, they decided to draft Ashton Jeanty, which was, that's right, the very pick before the Bears were on the clock, which then meant the Bears had to go with a backup plan. They had to settle for somebody else. So, okay, that right there in of itself was already fun for us Lions fans. We already got some pretty good amusement out of that because, that's right, we knew the Bears needed a running back. They wanted a running back, and they would eventually draft a running back, but not until the 7th round. So, okay, that in of itself was pretty damn funny. But, other than that massive disappointment there, what then made this whole thing even better, and what made this more of a compound of, not only the disappointment, but now the embarrassment, is that Nick Chubb decided to sign with the Texans for a 1-year deal with $2.5 million that is going to be absolutely given to him, with bonuses that could double it up to $5 million. Let me say that again. Nick Chubb, 1-year contract, $2.5 million up front, with a potential to make more in bonuses of up to $5 million. So in essence, Nick Chubb signed with the Houston Texans over the Chicago Bears for chump change, for literal pittance. And that's what's so embarrassing about this, is because you have to think about how much the Bears have done this offseason, invested so much damn money in trying to make their outward perception, their outward appearance look more palatable to potential free agents. Because think about it, the Bears absolutely went on a damn spending spree this entire offseason. They brought in a whole bunch of different offensive linemen. They decided to make sure that they were going to spend big in free agency. They obviously went out and they got supposedly the best young offensive mind. I again laugh at that one. And a head coach in Ben Johnson. But yet, despite all of that, they could not beat out the Texans to get Nick Chubb. I mean, when you consider all of the effort that the Bears have put into this offseason to try and get free agents like Nick Chubb, a guy who is immensely talented, but yes, he is coming off of a bad injury, but you know what? If you invest in that player, you could potentially have a huge explosive return on investment, because it's like, hey, for as little as what the Texans are giving Chubb, you would think that that would be something that the Bears would have absolutely pounced on. And I guarantee you this, the Bears wanted to get, Nick Chubb, because there were reports all over the place that they were interested in him. They wanted to get him. But yet Nick Chubb pretty much looked at the Bears and said, nah, I'm not interested. I'm going to go over here. I mean, that's just awesome. Because the problem is that, think about this in another way. Take a look at the teams, the Texans and the Bears. The Texans already had a good running back in Joe Mixon. It wasn't like they were hurting for a running back. But now they have both Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon on the same roster. So that right there is already really interesting. Whereas the Bears, who's their starting running back? Oh, that's right. That's DeAndre Swift, the guy that we used to have, who for the majority of his career has been a China doll. Yeah, the last couple of years he's definitely gotten better in that department, but everybody still is like, okay, every time this guy gets hit, you have to wonder if he's going to get back up. So it's like, when you take a look at the two teams, the Texans and the Bears, who had a more prevalent pressing need at getting a running back upgrade? It sure as hell wasn't the Texans. That was definitely the Bears. But yet, the Bears pretty much got, told, thanks but no thanks, I'm going to go over here. That just makes me laugh. That just makes me all giddy and happy, warm and fuzzy inside. But that's only part of the problem. Because again, while that's definitely embarrassing, what makes it even worse for the Bears is that, think about it, the Bears could have had Nick Chubb for next to nothing, piddling's change. But yet again, Nick Chubb told the Bears, nah, I don't really care what you have to offer me. I'm going to go over here to the Texans. And when now you have the best option on your running back chart is DeAndre Swift. That puts a huge issue on the Bears' offensive plans. Let me explain here. Again, I don't like Ben Johnson now because of his traitorous and, duplicitous nature about how he decided to leave the Lions and definitely how he acted during the whole, Commanders game. But again, I can't really say much more on that because I've said quite a lot. But here's what I do know about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, when he was the offense coordinator here in Detroit, he became accustomed to having a certain element to his offensive power that, without it, made things more difficult for him. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a running game. Ever since Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator here in Detroit, the Lions have had some of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. Go back and take a look at 2022, 23, 24, the years that Ben Johnson was actually the offensive coordinator here in Detroit. In 2022, we had the 11th best overall rushing attack. 2023, we had the 5th best rushing attack overall. And in last year, we had the 6th best rushing attack overall. Right there, that tells me something. Running the ball is very important to Ben Johnson's offense. Now, some people would like to say, well, that's also because that's how Dan Campbell likes his offense to be. Okay, I understand that, but let's understand something here. Running the ball, it is crucial to the style of offense that Johnson likes to run because the quarterback, and I'm going to say this with extra heavy, emphasis on the quotation points I'm saying here, the quarterback can directly benefit from a strong running game in both traditional and play action passing. Think about this. Had Nick Chubb been paired with DeAndre Swift, that would have definitely helped because now you would have had kind of a similar dynamic, but an upgraded version, in my opinion, of what DeAndre Swift had with Jamal Williams when he was here in Detroit. Because Nick Chubb's definitely better than Jamal Williams. I mean, I'm not going to even try and make that argument because it's not even worth trying to make. But now Swift is pretty much on his own. Oh yeah, sure, the Bears also have Rashawn Johnson, but again, Rashawn Johnson is no Nick Chubb. And now when you have DeAndre Swift being your primary number one running back, and that's what you have to work with, and you're trying to implement this offensive game plan, this offensive scheme that everybody knows how Ben Johnson's going to want to run it, oh boy, not good. Because let's think about this. DeAndre Swift has only had one 1,000-yard season in his entire NFL career, and that was barely over 1,000 yards when he was in Philadelphia behind a top 3 offensive line. For all of the improvements that the Bears have put into their offensive line, they're nowhere close to that. I don't give a damn what Bears fan tries to tell me otherwise. It's like, listen, you can try and delude yourself and be insane somewhere else, but you ain't going to convince anybody besides your own delusional fan base. And now Bears fans are going to say, oh, well, we still made the improvements, and DeAndre Swift was almost a 1,000-yard running back last year. Okay, fine. Yeah, you're right. He almost was. He had 959 rushing yards. Whoopie-doopie for him. But here's the problem. While the rushing yards are important, what's even more important to understand the quality of the rushing is the fact of the rush per average. What was DeAndre Swift's rush per average last year? Oh, that's right. It was the worst of his career. It was a 3.8 per average per rush. He wasn't even getting 4 yards on average per rush. He was getting 3.8. Let me tell you something right there. Even with the improvements, I don't see DeAndre Swift having a quote-unquote massive season. I just don't see that happening. Because when he was with Philadelphia and he barely cracked 1,000 yards, okay, you might be able to get, if again, provided, of course, DeAndre Swift doesn't get hurt like he normally does, you might be able to get 1,000, maybe 1,100 out of him. Maybe. But again, you're going to need a lot more than that to make this offense work the way that, Ben Johnson is accustomed to having it work because, oh, that's right. Ever since Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator here in Detroit, he has literally had a just absolute mountain of talent at the running back position because, as I just clearly stated, he had both Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift for 1 year, and then he got upgraded with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for the last 2 years he was here. DeAndre Swift is definitely no Jahmyr Gibbs, and Rashawn Johnson is definitely no David Montgomery. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. And let's think about this. When you now have DeAndre Swift as your lead running back, and you need a solid running game that you're going to need, and you don't really have it, what does that mean? That now means the quarterback has to step up and has to fill the gaps that you would have normally filled by a stronger running game. And I don't care what anyone says, because I've said it before. Every quarterback benefits from having a good running game. Every single quarterback does, because it makes their life easier. It makes the offense run smoother. And what makes it more difficult for the Bears offense is because, as us Lions fans know, because we saw it for years, Ben Johnson's offense, it likes to use play action passing. It plays a huge role in that offense. Well, let's call it for what it is. Not only is the offensive line not on the Lions level, even with Frank Ragnow gone, it's not even still on our level. And on top of that, you don't have Jahmyr Gibbs, you don't have David Montgomery. And then on top of that, you don't have Jared Goff. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Jared Goff is the best play-action passer in the NFL. There's no argument, there is no debate. You can try and argue all you want, but you will look like an absolute fool wearing the dunce cap sitting over in the corner in the teacher's classroom. That's how stupid you're going to look. Because if you take a look at Jared Goff last year in terms of play-action passing, Jared Goff, out of all quarterbacks, was ranked second in completion percentage, number one in passing yards, second in pass average per throw, second in passing touchdowns off of play action, and was also ranked third in passer rating. And, by the way, his PFF grade in terms of passing off of play action was an 85.9, sixth best. So, let me see there. 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, and 6. That's pretty much top three, right there. Top three. What was Caleb Williams last year? Here's where it gets even more fun for me. Caleb Williams last year was ranked 23rd in completion percentage, 19th in passing yards, 13th in pass average per throw, tied 18th in passing touchdowns off of play action, and ranked 19th in passer rating. And again, his PFF grade of a 62.4, that was ranked 25th. It's not even in the same universe. And I don't care what anyone wants to try and say, Jared Goff's more experienced, you should expect that. Okay, play-action passing is considered to be an option that for all quarterbacks, it's going to make things immensely easier for them because, that's right, you are deceiving the defense into thinking it's a run. You're going to have them out of position. You're going to have them on their heels trying to figure out how to get back into position. It benefits the quarterback, especially if it's done correctly. But here's the other thing about this. I don't want to hear that argument with Jared Goff because what did Bears fans try to tell us all last year? Caleb Williams is going to absolutely destroy the NFL because all of these receiving options that he has with, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, and, Odunze and freaking DJ Moore. Oh my God, they're just going to absolutely destroy the NFL. And yet that didn't even come close to happening. So let me tell you something here, Bears fans. Let me tell you something here, Bears. Let me tell you here something, Ben Johnson. By not getting Nick Chubb, because of the fact that Nick Chubb didn't want to go to you guys in the first place, because again, it obviously was not about money. Nick Chubb signed for next to nothing to go play with the Texans. It was about the fact he didn't want to play for you. He did not want to go to Chicago. He wanted to go somewhere where he felt that, I have a better chance of winning. This team actually has a pretty good roster. This team actually has a good future in place. Because, it also wasn't about the fact about playing time, because it's like, wait a minute, he went to the Texans where Joe Mixon's already there. If he'd come to Chicago, he'd have definitely had the chance to be the starting running back right off the bat, because Chubb's better than Swift. But again, Chubb decided to go with more of a shared option in Houston rather than going to Chicago and being primarily the number one running back. That's the embarrassing part about all this. And when you compound the embarrassment with the problem it's now going to present for the Chicago Bears, it gets even worse, which for us Lions fans means it gets even better. Again, I have absolutely no qualms whatsoever about sticking it to Bears fans because it's like, listen, you guys have been absolutely nothing but a whole bunch of noisy fans over the last couple of years saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you ain't done anything. And it's like, listen, now y'all getting even louder because you have our former offensive coordinator, which, that's right, our former offensive coordinator, you know what, say all you want about him, but he doesn't have Goff, he doesn't have St. Brown, he doesn't have Gibbs, he doesn't have Monty, he doesn't have Laporta, he doesn't have the offensive line anymore. And, by the way, on top of that, he's pretty much now responsible for everything. He's never been in that position before. And considering the fact he went from being a position coach literally like 3 or 4 years ago to now he's a head coach in probably one of the toughest coaching areas, one of the toughest cities to try and be successful, yeah, good luck with that. absolutely good freaking luck with that. But anyway, that's the end of my episode. I don't know if I'm going to release this one first or if I'm going to release my other one first, but again, we're going to have a Double Dip Tuesday today, and I'm absolutely having fun with it. So, having said that, I'm going to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all, please, to share this content with your Lions friends and family members. And again, I just want to say this. I hope you all enjoyed the content. I know I enjoyed making it. Again, my expression definitely, shows that. But again, I hope I was able to give you guys some information, hopefully give you guys some ammo against Bears fans, because again, that's what I try to do when I make my content. I really try to make it to where it's fun for you guys. I also hope everyone has something out there in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.